what do you do when you don't feel like doing anything? So let's get into it. Let's see who's hopping on real quick. I think we got about 20 billion people that I just saw who hopped on. So let's see who's jumping on. We're going to get into it. So like I said, today's session is just what do you do when you don't feel like doing anything? So you wake up, you're just like, I don't feel like doing anything today. You're trying to get work done and you're just like, I don't feel like doing anything today. What do you do when you wake up or when you're actually working, you're trying to get things done, but you just don't feel like doing it? This is a huge problem that a lot of people have. So I really want to get into this, and then we're going to see if there's any questions. Make sure you have the questions, and then we'll just get into it. So what's up, Paul? What's up, everybody? Instagram peeps. All right. So basically, there's an invisible problem that you have to solve. And the more I think about everything, the more I realize it's always the invisibles that screw everybody up. The invisibles is basically things that they're black swans. So black swan, it's an unknown. It's something that you didn't see that's actually causing all the mishaps within your business. And so that's essentially the black swan. You just don't know what it is. And this is one of those black swans where if you can't figure this out, then you're just going to be unproductive. You won't be able to market yourself. You won't build your business. None of that sort of stuff. My mom just hopped on. So for some reason, I can't see people who are essentially hopping on or anything. All right. So, we're just going to get into it. So like I said, the invisible is I don't feel like it. So if you wake up and you don't feel like it, or, you're doing something, you don't feel like it. What has to happen is there has to be a shift inside of your brain. And so once you actually do the task, like once you start doing the thing, you realize, hey, I'm just fine. It's like when you don't feel like going to the gym to work out. You're like, I don't really feel like going to the gym to work out. But when you get there, you're good to go. And so that's what usually happens with most people. So what's happening inside of your brain is all this pain is being built up inside of your brain. It's not even real. It's just all this pain is being built up inside of your brain, which is causing you to not do it, which is causing you to not feel like doing anything. And so what you ultimately have to do is you have to change that association with whatever you're trying to get done. You have to change the association with a pleasurable association instead of the painful one. And what I mean by this is whatever activity that you have to engage in that you know you should be doing, cold calling, cold emailing, spending money on ads, whatever that activity is that you don't feel like doing, you have to learn to associate that with pleasure instead of pain. Because right now, like I said, inside of your brain, you're like, man, this sucks. And I mean, like how I said a while ago, when I was trying to build the online business and I'm spending, or before I started spending money with the ads, I didn't feel like spending money. Like in my mind, it was painful to spend money on advertising because I didn't make the association of spending money makes money. I didn't make that association. Of course, you hear about it and all that, but still, it's one thing to hear about it. It's another thing to do it. And so I always knew that, hey, spend money to make money, but inside of my brain, spending money equaled pain. That is why I didn't want to spend money. And the same happened with cold emailing. When I was cold emailing, I mean, it was painful. It sucked. I mean, that is hands down one of the most boring things you could be doing. Sit down, cold emailing. That is just really boring. At least with cold calling, you're getting some feedback. Even if people are saying to you, dude, stop calling me, we're eating. Like, at least you're getting something. You're getting some type of feedback. With cold emailing, you're just sitting there just that's literally what you're doing. And so cold emailing, it really sucked. And so I had to learn to change that association with cold emailing and actually making the revenue. And so that's what I want to talk about. That's what we got to get into. Dang, I don't see anybody who's hopping on. I can't see names or anything. Let's see. What was it? Zippora? What's up, Zippora? Cool name. All right. So, what you're ultimately trying to do is you're just trying to change the association. So it's not that when I started spending money on ads, that's when the association started to change. And when it really changed was when I started making money. That's when the association really changes. Because in your brain, you can try to trick your brain all you want. It's not going to work. So what you have to do is you have to actually get that association to work. So if I'm spending money on ads and it's not working, then in my brain, I'm going to still associate spending money with pain, no matter what. I mean, I'm just going to associate it with pain because I'm not making money. On the other hand, if I spend money and if I get one sale, I'm like, oh, snaps. And that's actually what happened, to be honest. I remember I'm doing shows for like 10 grand and everything. I sell an ebook online for $7, and I got more excited by that than when I got a $10,000, $15,000 gig. Because to me, I was like, dang, I can't believe someone just bought a product from me. They bought a book. They don't know anything about me. They've never been introduced to me or nothing. And they bought something. My goodness, that's amazing. And it was just flat out amazing to me. And so the association changed once I started spending money and actually making money. It changed from a pleasurable association. The hard part was cold emailing. When I was cold emailing, it's really hard to change that association because it's just boring as all hell. So I had to essentially trick my brain in a way to turn it into a game where I was saying, all right, for the last 90 minutes, I was able to contact, let's say 60 events. Well, then for the next 90 minutes, I would say, let me try to beat that 60 and let me try to get 65. So it's like I was trying to beat my high score, and then that now became a different association. And so the reason why you wake up and you just don't feel like doing things and just in general is because that painful association you have to that activity. So you have to do everything possible to flip that association from pain to pleasure. Whatever you have to do it. A lot of times, the difference between high performers and everybody else, it's not that high performers don't have that I don't feel like it feeling. It's not like a super athlete, freaking Michael Phelps, Michael Jordan, whoever. It's not like these guys never wake up saying, I don't really feel like practicing. They do. They just do it anyways. They wake up, they're like, I don't really feel like it today. All right, let me just go swim. That's literally what happens. It's not that successful people don't have this. They just have it less. And they do it even when they have it. That's the difference. So with most people, they have that thought inside of their brain, that feeling of, I don't feel like it. And then they actually give into it. They're just like, I don't feel like it. All right, I'm not going to do it. Whereas super successful people, high performers, is the same thought, same feeling. They wake up or whatever. I don't feel like it. Then they're just like, all right, let me just go do this real quick. And that's literally the difference. And so that's what you really have to do. You ultimately have to do it whether you like it or not. This is why I keep saying, that whole saying of, do what you love. It's not about do what you love. It's about do what you must. It doesn't matter if you love cold emailing. Doesn't matter if you love cold calling. Doesn't matter if you love spending money on ads. Is that the thing that's going to build your business? Then you must do it. That's what it comes down to. And that's why you have to truly start to learn to ignore that feeling of, I don't feel like it. Like, once again, I'm telling you, every single successful person you know about has that feeling. But the difference is, do they give into it or do they not? What you really have to do is you have to ultimately fix the real problem to it. There's several reasons as to why you'll wake up or while you're just be in the middle of something. In the middle of the day, you just won't feel like it. You have to fix the real problem to that. So maybe you need a vitamin supplement. Maybe you're lacking vitamin D. Maybe you're lacking vitamin B, whatever it is. Maybe you need a vitamin supplement. That could be it. I mean, if you don't have the vitamins, then you're going to just have this low sense of energy. Just energy in general. That's why I keep telling people, hands down, you should be working out. Like, hands down, whether it's, I say cardio. I mean, lifting weights is great and all, but cardio is what gets all the oxygen into your brain. That's what creates all the energy. So, hands down, you got to be working out. You got to get that oxygen in your brain, get that runner's high going on. But ultimately, you got to fix the real problem in terms of why you do not feel like doing something. I wrote down here, hungry. There were times when I would be working on something. So I'm sitting down, maybe writing an email, whatever it is. I'm doing something and I wouldn't feel like it. I'm just like, let me see what else is on Facebook real quick. Let me check Instagram, see what's on Instagram. And so that's what would happen. And I noticed that would happen when I was hungry, because when I got hungry, I would lose focus. So I would have the brain fog would go on, that hunger fog or whatever they want to call it. But I was hungry, so I couldn't really focus all that much. So little things like that's getting in your way, that's causing you to not feel like it. Whether you lack sleep, whatever it is, but you have to fix the real problem in terms of why are you not feeling like it. The thing that's going to trump everything. You can have a lack of sleep. You can be hungry. You can not work out. This thing, if you do this thing, it will trump all of that. This one thing is having that mission, that vision, that goal, something that you're going to really, really move towards. I remember a while ago, several years ago, there was this guy, he was doing an event out here, and I went to his event, and the number one thing he talked about was having a mission, a vision. And this is a guy who's doing 8 figures, like 8 figures going up to 9 figures or something. He was making a ton of money. And so he's talking about, like, yeah, you got to have this vision, this mission. And inside of my mind, I was like, Hurry up, get to the point. Come on, man. We got it. Vision, mission, everybody talk about that. Hurry up, get to the marketing stuff. Hurry up, get to the point. But he was really, really focused on the vision and mission. I didn't really understand it until I started really talking to other people in terms of like, hey, why is this person not getting things done and all that? And it's really because they lack the vision, they lack the mission to actually make this thing happen. If you don't feel like it, it's usually because you're not clear about what it is you really need to do or what it is you're truly moving towards. That's hands down. That is probably the biggest reason as to why people don't feel like it. So if you don't feel like it, sit down for 30 minutes, sit down for an hour, sit down for a whole freaking day and sit down and think about your vision, your mission, what it is you're actually trying to get done. Get really clear on what it is you're trying to work on. If you keep having this, I don't feel like it feeling, the best way to, well, I mean, there isn't a best way to get around it, but this is another way to get around it, is to ultimately change your environment. One of the biggest reasons as to why you don't feel like it is just because your environment. And in fact, this is one of the things I've been thinking about more and more and more just in general is how the environment tends to influence people. And so if you change your environment, everything else changes. Literally everything changes. You can do nothing else except change your environment and your entire life freaking changes. It's actually pretty crazy. It's one of those things where, when you don't feel like it, you have to start changing your environment with simple things like your phone. Your phone may be sitting down around you or whatever. You want to turn that phone on silent. I mean, your phone should be on silent most of the times that you're working, or pretty much every time you're working. I remember when I was just doing the Pomodoro technique. I think that's what it's called. The Pomodoro technique, where you do 90 minutes of work and then a 10, 15 minute break, 90 minutes of work, 10, 15 minute breaks, and you keep breaking it up like that. I was doing that and my phone was always on silent every single time. The only time it was on silent was during the break time. And even then I'd use it, I leave it on silent most of the times. Most of the time my phone is on silent. Little things like that. You're sitting there just changing the environment. That way it doesn't freaking get in your way of things that you're trying to do. Ultimately, your environment, your goals have to match up. That's what has to happen. Little things like removing the TV. I mean, if you remove the TV out of your house, then now it's kind of like you're forcing yourself to get things done. You're forcing yourself to do anything except watch TV. I didn't actually have a TV until I moved into this place. And even when I moved into this place, I didn't actually buy a TV for a while. The only reason I bought a TV was freaking watch movies. That's the only reason I got a TV. I don't have cable. And so you have to make sure that you're truly, truly paying attention to your environment, because your environment is causing you to have that feeling, that saying of, I don't really feel like it. Imagine if you woke up, let's say you want to work out more, and every single day you wake up, you're like, I don't really feel like it. I don't feel like working out. So what do you do to change your environment to force that I don't feel like it feeling to go away, or not even go away, but just do it anyways? Well, what you do is you could hire a personal trainer to live with you, and that is literally their job. Now, because you change one thing in your environment, one thing, you just hired somebody to live with you, you change one thing in your environment, it changes your entire life. That one person wakes you up at 6 a.m. Let's go. Let's get it. Come on. I'm your alarm clock. It's time to go to the gym. You're like, I don't feel like it. He just throws you off your bed. Get up. Let's go. And so like one little thing like that, it ultimately changes everything. And so you can get around the I don't feel like it feeling just by changing your environment. If you change the conditions of your life, your entire life changes. That's what it really comes down to. If you actually lack discipline, then you ultimately have to train your discipline. And this is where I was talking about earlier. Remember the high performers, how they don't feel like it, but they do it anyways? You got to train yourself to get to that point. So you ultimately have to train yourself to do things you don't like. And I know this is kind of counterintuitive to what most people say about success, only do the things you like, whatever. I don't know why this thing freaking became popular about only do things you like. It is simply not possible. I don't know what's up with people saying that. So it is not possible. Literally. The only way it is possible is when you absolutely, positively have the money to pay everyone to do the things you don't like. In the beginning, you cannot afford it. In the beginning, you can't afford to pay anyone to do all that stuff. You have to do it. You do whatever it takes. And so in the beginning, sure, you may lack this discipline, and sure, maybe you can or cannot hire somebody, but in the beginning, you got to train yourself. You got to keep training yourself to have this sense of discipline. When you don't feel like it, you do it anyways. You don't feel like it, do it anyways. Don't feel like it, do it anyways. You train yourself nonstop all day, every day. you should be very aware. And this is why I actually recommend meditating to a lot of people, because when you meditate, you tend to be very aware of what's going on inside of your brain. So you wake up and you're just like, I don't really feel like it. But you're aware of that. Like you're very aware. So you don't associate with that feeling. You just notice it. It's just like, oh, okay. There we go. There it goes again. I don't feel like it. Well, shut up, son. I'm going to the gym anyways. And that's what you do. I do it all the time. Like it happens a lot in the morning. I wake up in the morning every single day, or Monday through Friday. I go to the other room and I box for 30 minutes. But there are days when I wake up, I'm just like, I don't really feel like boxing right now. I could just skip a day. Yeah, no one to notice. And then as I'm saying that, I'm just like slowly walking over to the other room. Yeah, I mean, I could skip a day. Yeah. And I'm putting on the gloves and stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have to do it today. And I set a 30-minute timer. 30-minute timer. All right. And then that's literally what happens. And so you have to keep discipline yourself to do things like that. Even something as simple as, I don't really feel like cooking today. You cook anyways. You discipline yourself, because when you don't feel like it, you do it. You don't feel like it, you do it. You don't feel like it, you do it. That's what separates high performers from everybody else. This whole advice of only do what you love is the crappiest advice I've ever heard in my life. Ever. It is not possible to do what you love. It is just not possible. In the beginning, you do what you must. And when you make enough money, then you can start doing what you love. And so that's what has to truly happen. One of the biggest things in terms of people not feeling like it is just because they think too much. So you're sitting there, you're thinking too much about the thing that you have to do. You're like, oh, taxes are coming up. Oh man, this sucks. I got to do my taxes. You're thinking way too much about it. And when you do it, yeah, it still sucks, but still you do it anyways. And so a lot of times you just think too much about the thing that you have to do, and then it just builds up inside of your brain, all this fear, everything. But when you actually do it, it's not that bad. For some reason, this happened to me a lot with spending money on advertising. Before I would spend money on advertising, I just didn't want to do it. I'm just like, I don't feel like spending money on advertising. I know I should, but I don't really feel like doing it. And so I didn't do it for the longest time. I would do it and I stopped, do it and I stopped. And the reason I would stop is because I was thinking about it too much. Or the reason why I wouldn't keep doing it is because I was thinking about it too much. I'm sitting there thinking about like, the conversions, man, that Facebook probably changed it up again. And I got to relearn this stuff. And so I was thinking about it way too much. This is why you see so many dumb millionaires, because dumb millionaires don't think. They're just like, all right, got to create a Facebook ad today. Let me do it. All right, so I got to film a video today. Let's film it. Like, they don't think about it. They just do it. And then because they do it, they get things done while everybody else is thinking about it. And then poof, before you know it, they're there already. And these people are still thinking about how to get there. And so that's why there's so many dumb millionaires, because they don't think about it. They don't have that I don't feel like it feeling, because they're not thinking enough to have that I don't feel like it feeling, if that makes any sense. What up, Brandon? Just saw Brandon hop on. All right. Cool. Yeah, Brandon, in case you guys don't know who he is, he's the guy who copied me back in the day. I used to go by BB Magic. He went by B Magic. He was the scrub, and I was the guy who's just the top-notch entertainer. And so people confuse me with him because we're both black and all that. And I was like, I'm better than this dude. Shh, what you talking about? So that's what happened. When you are, if you want to actually get that whole I don't feel like it feeling, if you want to get rid of that feeling, you have to stop thinking about it too much, or just stop thinking too much. Start doing. That way it doesn't actually catch up. It doesn't catch up with you. It's funny, Brendan. You just have to stop thinking about it too much. Brandon said, tell the truth. That was the truth. What you talking about? Ultimately, the I don't feel like it feeling, what happens is, there's the thinking about it too much. That's why the dumb millionaires tend to get there faster. And ultimately, what you're doing tends to not be challenging enough. And so if you set the challenging goals, then that I don't feel like it feeling tends to go away, because it's more of like you're really trying to get this thing done. You're like, all right, how do I really do this? You're so focused. You're in the zone of trying to accomplish this thing that once again, you don't think about it because you're in the zone. And when you're in the zone, you're not actually thinking. You're doing because you're in the zone. And so that's why you have to start getting challenging challenges to make stuff happen. And it's alternate facts. All right, so what the hell did I write? What about the moment it happened? Oh, okay. All right. So I was trying to understand what I wrote. So I wrote down, what about the moment it happens? So when you are working on something, so a lot of times you can wake up and just not feel like it. But what happens if you're working on something and you don't feel like doing it? That's what really sucks, because it's easier to do it when you wake up and you don't feel like it, because you know you got to get up anyways. You got to do something. But when you're actually working, let's say it's freaking, so it's 9:20 right now. You're sitting there, you're doing something, or you're about to do something, and bam, you're just like, I don't feel like doing it. And so what do you do at that moment? Like, how do you change everything at that moment? This is what I really, really recommend you do. When you feel that moment coming on, where you're just like, I don't feel like it. I know I got to do cold calls. I don't really feel like it. Stop at that moment and meditate for 15, 20 minutes. Just stop and just meditate. What the meditation, once again, what it's going to do, it's going to remove those thoughts from your brain. With the meditation, the meditation I'll do is I'll just sit down, and it's like, I'm not focusing on my breathing or nothing. I'm just sitting there, literally just sitting there. And if a thought, or when a thought pops up, it's like I'm just observing it. I'm observing it as if somebody else is talking to me. That's literally what's happening. The thought, whatever's popping up inside of my brain, I'm just observing it as if somebody else is saying it. And what happens when you do that is it combats those feelings of, I don't feel like it. And so if you're sitting there, you're in the middle of something, and you feel that feeling of, I don't feel like it, just stop doing your thing, meditate 15, 20 minutes, and come back to it. And that usually works, to be honest. Also, you can just work out something. Ultimately, what you're trying to do is you're trying to break you're trying to do like a pattern interrupt. So when you feel this, I don't feel like it feeling, you create a pattern interrupt in any way imaginable. Whether it's a quick workout, you do some jumping jacks, some push-ups, some, whatever it is you need to do. You can just drop down, do some push-ups real quick, 25 of them, 50 of them, however many you want to do. You drop down, you just get a pattern interrupt with the meditation, with the workout, whatever it is you need to do. Also remember to I put here to use anger. This is something that I would do a lot. Anger, frustration, whatever you want to do. So when you feel, I don't feel like it, you use anger to get you to feel like it. It's like, I don't really feel like writing emails today. But I'm way better than these mofos out here. These gurus making all this money. I'm way better than them. Shoot, I can make more money than these guys. Damn it, I'm going to create 20 emails right now. And that's literally what you do. You're just like, I don't feel like it. Oh, I'm way better than these guys. These motherfuckers. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. And that's what happens. You use anger and frustration to get yourself to do it. And ultimately you're trying to remind yourself of why this task is important. And so remember earlier, I say you want to create an association with the task and pleasure. So you create an association with cold calling, cold emailing, or whatever, spend money on ads, that task with pleasure. You got to keep reminding yourself of that. You remind yourself, hey, every single email I send has a potential of making me $10,000. Hey, every call that I make has a potential of making me X amount. Hey, every single whatever I do has a potential of making me money. And so that's what you're doing. You're constantly reminding yourself of this. And you want to change pace. So as you're doing something, let's say, like I said earlier, cold emailing, it sucks. I mean, it's boring as all hell. So I'm sitting there cold emailing, and once again, I'm just like, I don't really feel like it. I know I'd said 90 minutes, but I'm at the 20-minute mark, and I just don't feel like doing the rest. At that moment, I got to do something, right? I got to do something, otherwise I'm just not going to be productive. So what I'll do is I'll change the pace. So instead of me sending emails, writing the emails really quick, maybe I'll go really, really slow. It'll take me freaking 10, 15 minutes to write one email. I'll just sit there and just, all right. Like I'll still do it, but I'll just do it really slow. Or maybe if I'm going slow, maybe I'll just go fast. Whatever it is, I'm just changing the pace of it. And that helps out with actually changing everything. This is what happened to me several times when I was writing down notes for Facebook Live. So, like right now, I write down bullet points for these live sessions. And sometimes I'm just like, I don't feel like it. I feel like writing these notes to Facebook Live right now. And so what I'll do when that happens is I'll slow down writing on the notes. Cause I notice that when it happens, I usually try to go fast. I'm trying to write notes fast, trying to come up inside of my brain. Just like, well, all right, so what should I talk about here? What should I talk? And I'm trying to do it fast. But then all of a sudden what happens is maybe I'm hungry or whatever. I lose the focus. And then all of a sudden I'm just like, I don't feel like it. And when that happens, because I meditate and I notice it, I just say, okay, let me just go slower at this point. Now I'm just like, it'd take me freaking 30 minutes just for one little thing. Just, all right, whatever. I just go slow because the goal is ultimately to get it done. Is to ignore that I don't feel like it feeling. If you do all this, meditate, all that stuff, you do all that stuff and still it doesn't work, then you can just stop and do something else. That's ultimately what you want to do. If you still have that feeling of I don't feel like it, you can stop and do something else and then come back to it. But ultimately, you have to get to the point where you must learn to ignore that feeling. You have to learn it. You got to discipline yourself to that point. You're simply thinking too much about the task, so you have to stop thinking about it. That's why I keep saying the meditating and all that. You stop thinking about it. When the thought pops up, you notice it, but you don't think about it. There's a huge difference. And so it's literally, just imagine you're schizophrenic. Hell, just do that. Just imagine you're schizophrenic. Imagine there's some voice inside of your brain. You're freaking schizophrenic and you're just like, all right, I'll let my weird schizophrenic friend over here talk about I don't feel like it while I work. That's what you do. And that's where you really need to get to. The only way to really get to that point is to keep training yourself to whenever you just don't feel like doing anything, you just do it anyways. You have to keep training yourself with little tasks of, oh, I don't feel like cooking. I'm going to do it anyways. I don't feel like going to the gym. I'm going to do it anyways. I don't really feel like, I don't know, doing something with the phone. I'm going to do it anyways. That's what you keep doing. And eventually you get to a point where it doesn't go away, but you're just really good at how to get around it when it happens. That's what has to happen 24/7. So let's see. So Brandon said, I'm going to use anger. This a-hole Benji, BB Magic, lying about me on his blog to destroy him. Yeah, that's a good way, Brandon. All right, so let's see. Pattern interrupt, cool. So you said challenge yourself, cool. Makes a good sense of achieving a task, like cold email, 200 a day. Yep. All right, so love from India. What's up from India? All right, keep going. You're doing great. All right, so let's see. We're good to go for today, actually. Let's see if there's any other questions that I want to go over. Anything else? So we got that. So Zipporah said, because cold email is such a drag, should I put more effort into cold calling instead? Okay. Let's see. Let me see if I can say this name. Tammy Linda or Tame Linda? How do I say that? Is it Tame Linda or Tammy Linda? All right. So Zipporah said, because cold email is such a drag, should I do cold calling instead? So ultimately you do whatever's the most effective for you. So what I would recommend, I mean, if you really hate cold email, I would try cold calling. Like, that's what I did. In the beginning, I tried cold calling, but then I switched to cold emailing just because I found cold emailing more effective. And inside of my brain, I was able to create the different association of, sure, cold email sucked, but I did it anyways. And in my brain, what I was doing with cold emailing is I was trying to create momentum, like this energy inside of me to where I no longer thought about whether or not I liked it or not. It was just, I would do it because I knew that's what was going to actually get me the gig. So if you absolutely hate cold emailing, then you're probably going to hate cold calling too, but still you can switch to it and see how do you like it compared to cold emailing. I really do think cold calling, I don't know. I mean, cold calling, it may feel better because you're actually doing something. But at the same time, you just got to do whichever one is more efficient and effective for you. And that's why I keep saying you can't only do what you love, you have to do what you must. All right, so let's see if there was anything else. So you said Tammy Linda works. All right. So all right, shoot, cool. And Beth loved and watched the info. Cool. All right, and in reality, guys, Brandon's like one of my best friends, so that's why I kept talking trash about him. But he knows he's a scrub compared to me. So, all right. So let's see. Why don't you say, get the gig, get the gig, get the gig. Yep. That's exactly what it should be. Get the gig. That's the mantra. All right. Let's see if there was anything else. So you said love the Pomodoro technique. Environment's so important. All right. Cool. Said, how to approach school and college for seminars. All right. So how do you approach schools and colleges? So you approach schools and colleges the same way you approach everybody. Ultimately, you're just going to send out the first email or first call, and you're just going to ask them, hey, who hires the people? And then from there, you're going to pitch them. It's the same way. So with colleges, you can just Google college directory and then just look to see all the colleges that are around you. You can say college directory or colleges in Las Vegas, colleges in Florida, colleges in Colorado. You can just do that and then just contact each and every one of those colleges. That's what you really want to do. So let's see. He said, thank you. I've had better engagement, but with the calling, but email gets more eyes on me. Yep. So ultimately what you want to do is it's not even about engagement. It's about the end game. It's about conversion. And so this is one of the things where I would rather, so here's the thing. Cold calling, of course, you're going to get more engagement because you're actually talking to them. But once again, it all comes down to the end part. Which one gets you the money? Which one gets you the gig? And so whichever one does that more often, that's the one you do more often. And so honestly, I wouldn't care. Like I prefer cold emailing over cold calling. But if I started cold calling and I got more sales through cold calling, you're damn sure I'm going to switch to cold calling. I don't care if I like it or not. I'm going to do it anyways. And so that's what you really want to do is when you're cold calling, I mean, sure, get a sense for how you like it, but at the same time say, all right, which one actually got me the gig? Which one actually generated revenue? Whichever one generated revenue faster and more, that's the one I'm going to do more and faster. So that's what you really want to do. Pitch and move on. Pitch and move on. Yep. Another mantra from when I'm nervous about contacting. Yep. All right, so let's see. Ari said, how do you respond to this? I forwarded your information over to our committee members for review. So the way you respond to that, Ari, there's actually a template inside the program. If you go to go to Event Finder, then click on the email templates on the right side. And if you scroll down, you'll see the email template for that. But what you're ultimately doing when someone says, hey, I got your information, I'm going to forward it to somebody else, to a committee or whatever. What you ultimately do at that point is you say, okay, cool. Do I follow up with you or somebody else? Like, who do I follow up with? And normally I say do not use the words follow up because nobody wants you to follow up with them. Everyone thinks you're going to follow up with me. You're going to bug the hell out of me. I don't want you to bug the hell out of me. That is exactly why you say those words. So you don't want to follow up with this person who's not a decision maker. But right now they're the gatekeeper. They're not telling you any type of information for the person that you really need to talk to. So you don't want to follow up with them because they can't really decide on anything. All they're going to do is say, oh, I got to talk with so-and-so. I got to talk with the committee again or whatever. So what you do is you say like, all right, cool. Thank you. Do I follow up with you or somebody else? And usually what'll happen is, they'll say like, in their mind, they're like, I don't want this dude following up with me. Actually, so the person to follow up with is going to be so-and-so. And that's what happens a lot. So that's what you do, Ari. All right, so we got that. Forward information over. All right, so you said argument for against cold outreach. You said NSA speaker I know is against and insists on referral-based contacting, and he's probably broke too. All right, so let's see. Yes, ask who else should I be connecting with. All right, All right, so let me tell you guys something right now. You cannot build a big business through referrals. You can't. That's just not how building a business works. The reason why so many people are struggling is because if you ask them, how do you get business? They'll tell you referrals. And that should be a sign to you. It should be a huge sign saying this person doesn't know a damn thing. Like they don't know what they're doing to get business. Because anyone who gets business can tell you exactly how they get business. Even someone who has a referral process can tell you exactly how they get referrals. And so if you want to actually get business, you have to reach out to people. You have to do whatever it takes to get visibility. You say, here are the people that I want to do business with. How do I get in front of them? They won't just know you. And there's no way you can just know someone who knows them, that's just not going to happen. What you do is you reach out to them or you spend money on ads and you get them to come to you. But I'm telling you, Every single person who keeps saying to me, I get referrals, I'm like, yeah, that dude's broke. Every single time. Yep, broke. Let's see. She contradicts herself in print by having a book on cold calling. Exactly. See, these are the type of people who they read books and they tell people what they read, but they're not actually doing anything. And that is why their advice is contradicting. When you actually do what you say, you don't contradict yourself because it's literally impossible. Literally. If I'm the greatest basketball player of all time, and I'm teaching someone how to play basketball, I'm like, all right, so you're shooting, you want to have your elbow in and then you shoot, right? I say that every single time. There won't be another day that I'm going to say to somebody, oh, you want to have your elbow out. I won't contradict myself because I'm doing it. I know how to do it. But if I just read a book on it and read several books, what happens is all this information pops into my brain. I don't know what's right, what's wrong. I don't know if you should have your elbow in, out. I don't know. So one day I'm going to say to somebody, have your elbow in. Another day I'm going to say, have your elbow out, because I don't really know, because I'm not actually doing. That is why people contradict themselves. You won't hear me contradict myself like that because I actually do the stuff. And so that's why people tend to contradict themselves. They're reading books instead of actually doing it. And so just keep that in mind. So I walk up to the message boards at Caesar Palace last night and took a picture. Nice. Doing exactly what I said. All right, so he said, then I worked an event just for fun there, and they asked me to leave. Funny how people don't value free. So with something like that, it doesn't really matter if they ask you to leave. What you really want to do is you want to just film. So make sure you're always getting the testimonials. So me and Brandon, the guy I was just clowning on earlier, we went to a place called the Broadmoor in Colorado. And the Broadmoor is like the prim and proper place in Colorado. It's the really wealthy spot. This is the place where when the president goes to Colorado, that's where he stays. When celebrities go to Colorado, that's where they stay. And so we went to the Broadmoor one time and we crashed the Broadmoor. I just walked in. Brandon's there filming and I'm sitting there. I'm a performer for people. We would just see somebody and I would just perform for them. I just walk up to them. Eventually, security came up to us and they were like, what are you guys doing? I'm like, oh, well, I mean, I'm just like an illusionist. I'm like a mentalist. We're just kind of walking around, just entertain. You guys got to go. No filming. You're not allowed to film here. In fact, give me that camera. Give me that tape. I need you guys to erase it. And I actually looked at Brandon and I was like, please don't erase it. Please. Like in my head, I was like, man, he better not erase it. He better not erase it. And so that's what was happening inside of my brain. And Brandon didn't erase it. We were just like, oh, okay. Well, sorry about that. We didn't know. And he's like, you guys got to go. You got to go. Get. And so he actually like literally escorted us out of the Broadmoor. He's like, you guys are never allowed to be in here again. We're going to put you on a list. You're never allowed here ever again. And like, okay, like he literally walked us all the way to like the car, like off the property, everything. And, by that time though, I already had business cards by a couple meeting planners. About 2 months later, I got hired by AAA to go to the Broadmoor. I actually wondered, like, is the Broadmoor going to remember me? Am I going to like get kicked out when I go there? But once again, I went to the Broadmoor, did a thing for AAA. They didn't recognize me or nothing. It didn't matter. What happened was I actually got business because of it. So I wasn't worried about getting kicked out or anything. Brandon said apparently still banned. I guess they recognize Brandon, huh? But yeah, I mean, they basically banned us. I got a gig. I went back anyways. And so it didn't really matter. That's one of the things where I don't really care if you're filming, if you're getting the testimonials and everything, it doesn't really matter. Just get testimonials. You're sitting there doing your thing, get those testimonials, use those for your marketing and you're good to go. The only time I would actually not do it is if I really wanted to keep going back to that place or for some reason, but very rarely is there a reason why I want to keep going back to a place like that. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't really matter if they kick you out as long as you get what you need to get. So you said, just got my iPhone and tablet, adaptable light tripod for video filming. I'm ready. All right, cool. All right. So we are good to go for today. Let's see if there was anything else. Love from India. All right. So you said, so it's testimonials you want? Yeah. So ultimately, if you're ever at an event, you want to get testimonials. Get testimonials whenever you can. You may not use a lot of them, but just keep getting testimonials because you never know which ones are going to be great. So that's why a lot of times, if you're going to crash a hotel, you don't crash just to crash. Like you don't crash, if you're an entertainer, you don't crash just to perform, or if you're a speaker, you don't crash just to get introduced to the person. You crash to do multiple things at the same time. What you really want to do with everything you do is think about, how do I kill multiple birds with one stone? That's what you want to think about all the freaking time. No matter what you do, how do I kill multiple birds with one stone? That's what I did with this Facebook Live. So the reason why I switched to Facebook Live instead of doing the regular YouTube videos I was doing is because Facebook Live kills multiple birds with one stone. So I record the video. I now have a video for YouTube. So once again, I got the videos I can pop up. I can use it. I can strip the audio, do the podcast if I want. Now we're live, so I can answer questions and all that sort of stuff. So Facebook Live, it kills multiple birds with one stone. And then on top of that, it's really quick. And so you always want to think, how do I kill multiple birds with one stone? If you're going to crash an event, don't just crash just to be introduced to the one person. Crash so you can do multiple things at the same time. Crash so you can be introduced to that person, so you can get video testimonials, so you can be introduced to another person, so you can get pictures that you can use on your website. Like, do it for multiple reasons. That's how you really want to think, because you want to get as much done as possible within the short amount of time you have. All right, so let's see. You rain in my calendar except for for speaking gigs. All right, so you said, when's the next live video? Tomorrow. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, we're doing all these live videos. So Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific time. It just depends on which page I'm going to do it on. It's either this page or the Speaking Lifestyle page. If I'm talking about motivation and just personal brand marketing, it's going to be on this page, the Benji Bruce page. If I'm talking about speaking, it's going to be on the other page, the Speaking Lifestyle page. So Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Thanks everybody for showing up. I will see you guys later. Take care, everybody. Adios. Deuces. Peace. See ya.